send up, we'll keep our end up, and they will know that they've been playing against the famous old dark blues.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Blue Sunday. My name is Bangkok Joe, and I'm coming to you, obviously, from Bangkok. And joining me, as usual, in Melbourne is my co-host, former president of the Carltonians and life member of the Carlton Football Club, Mr. Vince Lochisano, or as he's known on the show, Big Vincenz. How are you tonight, Vince?
G'day, Joe. Good to see you. And I'm well, thanks. And no doubt Carlton supporters are all feeling a lot better about life after our big win yesterday against the Gold Coast Suns, and back on the winners list and enjoying a pretty good win-loss ratio after 11 rounds, 7 wins and 4 losses. So no doubt we'll pull apart the game very soon. And I think there's a lot to look forward to.
Now, Vince, before we go, I must apologise. We're probably running 1 or 2 minutes late. Due to me this time, I had some technical issues. I could hear you guys, but you guys couldn't hear me. So apologies to everyone for being a couple of minutes late. Vince, let's dispense with the formalities to start with. As you all know, we are a YouTube or social media channel and event. So you can find us on Facebook at Blue Sunday or at The Jumper Punch. And we are proudly brought to you on the Jumper Punch channel on YouTube. The show is sponsored by my company, Retired Working For You Tours. We specialize in tours in Bangkok or Thailand. Pretty soon we'll be moving to countries such as Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam. So look out, and we'll have some really exciting things. And if you need me, you can get me on the email at info@retiredworkingforyoutours.com, or you can look at our website, www.retiredworkingforyoutours.com. Sorry, I'll get to that in a minute. Don't forget, I'd like you all to smash the hit, like, and share button. We are doing this for you guys. Also,
now, Joe,
Vince,
did I just hang on before you move on? Did I just hear you say that your company is expanding to other countries now?
Yeah, we're looking at doing tours in the surrounding countries. Laos, Myanmar, Cambodia, and Vietnam.
Yep. Oh, well, that'll do. I'll be known as Vietnam Vince.
Okay,
you can be known as Bangkok Joe.
I don't know whether Tanya would like to be known as Vietnam Tanya, though.
No, she can be Thailand Tanya, and I'll be Vietnam.
Thailand Tanya. I'll have to be Japan Joe.
That's it.
Anyway,
that sounds exciting new developments for the
company. So keep an eye out for it. Hey, Vince, just before we go on, remember, we are a social media channel and we encourage all comments from people. You may agree with us, you may disagree, but please keep it a bit clean. No bagging people. I mean, I know some people don't like certain players, but let's just go ahead. Oh, Smeggy says, Myanmar, isn't there a civil war happening there? Yeah, but they still want tourists, and we can take you to. What we can do is we can make you avoid the landmines.
I was just going to say, if you're going to go for a tour, wouldn't you love to go to a country where there's a civil war on?
Hey, why not? Why not?
I can't believe it. Oh dear.
Why not?
Yeah.
Vince, before we move on, I put something up on the screen, which was a bit premature, but let me mention the guys at the Jumper Punch are having a live event. Yes, now, this event is happening. It's happening on June 15. Okay, all the details are on the screen. You can get a ticket on the floor, which is $20, or if you want to get a table and you get a meal, it is $55. If you would like to,
I think I'm not sure who came up with this flyer, but what they mean by $20 for the floor is not that you're going to have to watch the show on the floor.
Well, you get a seat on the floor.
Yeah, you
just get a seat.
Yes. So it should have been $20 show only. In other words, you get to sit there, probably theatre style, and watch the show. If you want to have the comfort of I guess sitting at your own table with your own group of people.
Mates.
A table is $55 per person, not $55 for the table. See?
No, it's 55.
So,
well, yeah, I believe you get a 3-course meal.
Yeah, well, I think you'll find it's 2-course. I think you'll find that there's just a main course and a dessert, and I think there might be a salad, like a side serve of salad, and maybe some bread, something like that. But look, it's not really there for the main purposes of a meal. They will supply one if you want to pay for one, and you get there at about 6:30. But the show will start at about 7:30, thereabouts. Now, the important thing about that date is that entire weekend, you don't have Carlton playing at any level. So whether it's the AFL team or the VFL team, they've all got a bye. So there's, I guess, a vacuum there, or if you like, a vacancy in that weekend. So they've decided to use that particular Saturday night as the most appropriate time to all get together and review the season, do a live show, and there'll be all sorts of special guests and segments happening on the night. Should be a great event there at the Lazio Marche Social Club in Broadway Reservoir. I think you'll find that the number is something like, I think it was from memory, 237. I could be wrong. I think it's 237 Broadway. But anyway, you can look it up.
But if you want to book, the details are in the description below, or you can go to www.trybooking.com/CSA2A. I'll put that up in the comments in a minute.
Okay.
So we can do that.
Vince, if you haven't already followed the Jumper Punch on social media platforms like Instagram or Facebook, that's where you'll get all the information. So if you haven't done that yet, why not do that too? Just follow the Jumper Punch on Instagram and on Facebook.
So I've just put the details up again, and we'll go from there. Now, Vince, we have someone special sitting in the studio.
I'm going to be very interested to hear how you refer to him.
I'll refer to him as his lordship, former Carlton great, 1987 Premiership player, Brownlow medalist, special commentator, Mr. David Rhys-Jones. Brownlow medalist. I gave him the Brownlow. No, Norm Smith medalist. Excuse me. Should have won a Brownlow though, Reese.
Yeah, if umpires didn't vote for it, I would have been a little chance. But with them voting for it, I had no chance. So, up and down. How good was that? And a great win yesterday by the Mighty Blues. And, they dominated that game. Absolutely.
They did.
Dominated the game right from the start. The thing I got worried about was we couldn't put the score on the board. And
it's a bit worrying. Anyway.
But no, they did a great job and put away a pretty good side. So who've been
that's right.
So
that's good.
I think it's going to be.
Now, before we do anything, David, it's up to you, mate. Tell us about it.
Oh, the 15 for 15 challenge. We're in the middle of it now. It's coming to an end. But, it's for the Prader-Willi Syndrome Association of Victoria, and 15 well, we do 15 challenges over 15 days, and mine was to put up 15 highlights or lowlights of my football career, and it's all that goes towards the Prader-Willi Syndrome Association of Victoria, which do a magnificent job for the families and the people who are suffering with Prader-Willi syndrome. And for those of you who don't know it, you can Google it up, but it's a pretty debilitating syndrome for people who have it. That's my son Cooper on the screen there, and he's 20 years of age, and he lives with Prader-Willi syndrome every day. So
that's not. And for those of you that want to donate, you can go to https / that's not easy to say, 15for15.com.au. Now, David, we were supposed to have Big Vincenz eating 15 arancini tonight, but he conveniently forgot to heat them up.
Well, he's bloody useless without the missus there with him. So
it's true.
Daniel's not there, so we wasted
time. I'll tell you what, the big month where you do all your fundraising of May is coming to an end at the end of this coming week. So I thought, well, let's leave it till next Sunday's show, and we'll finish off with a bang. And anyone who wants to donate based on how many arancini I can possibly fit in 15 minutes. We're aiming for 15.
Yeah. No, I reckon you'll do it.
We'll finish it up next weekend instead. I'm sure they'll still accept our donations.
You're pretty good on the tooth, Vince. But hey, congratulations anyway, Vince, for both of your teams winning yesterday.
Yeah.
Well done.
Now listen.
I didn't want to put the picture up as per usual, Vince in his Essendon scarf. So David and I have decided that Vince needs to buy me and him 6 beers immediately.
That's it. Never again. I'm not going to do that ever
again.
I've told Tanya I don't feel right. I know you demand me wearing that thing when we watch Essendon, but every time I wrap that scarf around my neck, I feel like I'm putting a serpent or some sort of snake around my neck instead.
Is it Vince? David won't understand this. Is it like Courtney, the evil eye?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Anyway.
It puts a curse on you. That's the old Italian Courtney.
So
listen, I've heard of what blokes will do for sex, but geez, that's really pushing the bounds of it, isn't it?
Anyway,
it wouldn't be so bad as if that was the actual result out of it all.
Oh well, there you go. Hey guys, there was a game on Saturday. Let's have a look at Vince. Get through the score, mate.
Yes, of course. This was at Marvel Stadium yesterday afternoon. It was a 1:45 p.m. start. And we see there Carlton finishing up with 15 goals, 12, 102 to the Gold Coast Suns, 11-7, 73. Carlton in front at every change. Absolutely dominated the game from a statistical point of view, which we'll see shortly. But also led at every change. 3 goals, 4-2, 1 at quarter time. Gold Coast really restricted us a bit in that second quarter, but we were also very wasteful. So we ended up with 4 goals, 9 to 4 goals, 2 at halftime. And it sort of felt like we've dominated this game so much, but we've only got a 7-point lead at halftime. So it was going to be interesting to see what happened in the second half. And both teams scored pretty well, but Carlton scored more goals than Gold Coast in that third quarter, mainly due to a few positional changes that were made. 10 goals, 11, 71 to 8-6, 54, a 17-point lead at three-quarter time. And then we went bang, 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 bang at the start of the last quarter, and it was never in doubt. In fact, we got out to a huge lead of some 47 points, I think, at one stage. And then Gold Coast scored 3 late ones to rein in the margin back to 29. So we finished off with 15-12, 102 to 11-7, 73. And the main goal kickers for the game for Carlton, Charlie Curnow kicked 4 goals, 4. Zach Williams, it was a bit of a surprise packet in the forward line, kicked 4 goals straight. And then we had single goal kickers, Kennedy, Mackay, Hollins. That's Elijah Hollins. Akers, Cripps, Hewitt, and Owies. And for the Gold Coast Suns, their main goal kickers were Ben King with 3, Long and Holman with 2, and then they had another 4 single goal kickers. So that's basically the essential statistics of the result. Now we get into the match statistics, and we see here that the main areas of difference were, well, as I said, for starters, just how much of the ball we had. You can see there the total disposal numbers were enormous, 408, made up of 246 kicks and 162 hand passes, to Gold Coast only 270 possessions, 168 kicks and 102 hand passes. So we absolutely smashed them when it came to actual possession of the ball. Contested possessions, 132 to 110. Uncontested, 270 to 156. So we won the inside ball, we won the outside ball, and overall we just dominated possession of it. So marks, as you can imagine, also we dominated in 129 to 69. 13 contested versus 9, 116 uncontested marks versus 60. That's almost double the amount of marks there. Marks inside 50, 15 to 11. So they actually did reasonably well when it came to marks inside 50, considering how few marks they had. Hit-outs, they won here with Witts in the ruck versus De Conning, but I don't think there was much of an advantage in terms of whether those hit-outs went to advantage. 49 hit-outs to 36. The clearances we won, 44 to 32, including 16 centre clearances to 12. And stoppage clearances were 28 to 20. Tackles inside 50. Again, they had more tackles, but you'd have to say on the basis of how much ball we had, that's not a surprising statistic. When we've got the ball all the time, we're not going to be tackling them, are we? So they had 73 to 58 in the end, including 13 inside 50 to 9. The inside 50 efficiency, we were much better than them. We had 27 scoring shots from exactly the same amount of entries as they had. That's the interesting thing. The inside 50s were 51 each, despite how much ball we had. So I'll be interested to hear what Rhys has to say about that. But 27 scoring shots from 51 inside 50s. They only had 18 scoring shots from 51 inside 50s. And when those scoring shots did occur, we shot at 56%, kicking 15 goals from those 27 shots, whereas they only got 11 goals from a mere 18 scoring shots. So similar percentages, 56 to 61.
Now, Vince, before we go on, we must say a big happy birthday to one of our regulars.
Yes.
Please do the honours.
Well, one of our absolute darlings here at Blue Sunday, and in fact, she's a follower of not just our show, but all of the shows on the Jumper Punch channel, and probably others as well around the traps, but we're only interested in the Jumper Punch channel here. So we know that she follows just about all the shows. I think she even watches Rash's show on a Thursday and Rocking All Over the Burbs and, Forever Rivals on a Wednesday as well. And it's the lovely Lana Owens who celebrated her birthday during the week on the 20th of May. That would have been on Monday, I think.
Monday, yeah. So happy birthday, Lana, from all of us
Lana.
here.
Big shout out to you. And if you're out there watching, send us a little message and we'll give you another shout out. But hope
and a happy birthday to Tony. Vince, Tony's birthday tomorrow. So
good on you,
So
Tony.
happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you too, mate.
All right. David, tell us, what did you make of the game?
Well, it just started. It was going to be a midfield battle, really, which was going to win the game, and that's where we started dominating. And they were very good the week before against Geelong. I know it was a weakened Geelong team, but still they looked pretty potent and able to get the ball out of the middle. And Witts was always going to be the one. I remember a couple of years back when young Tom De Conning went up against him up on the Gold Coast, and Witts really did bully him and push him around and dominated him that day, and that really gave them the first hand on the ball, and they won the game that really through Witts's ruck work. 2DK, I thought he was fantastic. Not only competing, but he followed up. I think he had 20-odd possessions.
25, to be exact.
25, which is amazing for a ruckman to get that many. But he followed up his own, ruck work and the ruck work of Witts as well, and got some clearances there as well. So he did a great job, and that was going to be a real key to us too. How with pitting that out, and how Tom De Conning, especially after getting soundly beaten by him 2 years ago. But we dominated that ruck work, and then our back line, was pretty good too. I mean, McGovern taking marks back across the back line. I had to look twice at one stage. I thought it might have been Jeremy McGovern out there. I thought they weren't got his brother out there because he didn't drop a thing and was terrific back there. So Weeder's doing his usual thing, and we're pretty hard to penetrate back there. So. And seeing Sard back there too just gives us that little bit of class back there as well, and relieves the pressure on the other guys. So as we get more players back into the team like McGovern and Sard this week, the better we're going to be. And It's we've got Chera, Motlop, and quite a few others. Fogarty's another one who comes in and does that defensive job on in that half forward line too. So and as we do keep getting some players back, and it's very important for us and the quality of players coming in. I'll give a shout out to young Cowan too, who got dropped. And come back and did a pretty good job. I thought that was probably his best game I've seen him play in the Navy Blue Guernsey. So kudos to him too, and he'll probably hold his spot because of it, which is
he was excellent.
Yeah, I thought our back line was terrific, to be honest, and I thought they really stood up well.
I thought Chincotta did a good job as a tagger too. He really got under Miller's skin.
And that was it's something that Vossi hasn't tried before. I think I like seeing it. I when Dacos was running around his own a couple of weeks ago, I'm thinking, put someone on him for God's sake. That's where you need Curnow to just be able to shut a bloke down. And Chincotta's been the man so far. He's whether it's the small forwards or the on-ballers. I mean, he could very well get Zach Butters this week, and that'd go a long way to helping us win over there in Port Adelaide. So good to see. And Chincotta, don't forget, he wasn't even in the team at the start of the season, and therefore he wasn't really part of Vossi's big plan. But he's one of those guys who's really performed to make him impossible to drop, and I mean, it's. It makes life difficult for the selectors, but it's fantastic, and that's what we need. We need players coming up and saying, "Well, I'm not going to," like Cowan, Chincotta, putting performances on the board, so it makes them bloody hard to get dropped.
Yeah,
I was just David, going to say they're making it pretty. Sorry, Joe. They're going to be making it pretty difficult, especially guys like Cowan, to allow a Marchbank back into the side. In fact, I don't think that bringing Marchbank is actually on the cards now. Bringing him back into the side, seeing Cowan's playing so well, and some of these guys who you might have thought were just fringe players that just going to come in and play a role and then get dropped again the minute the other guy gets fit. I don't think that that's the case at all, and that's been the good thing about guys like Cowan. Whereas I think the opposite is for the small forwards. I don't think guys like Durden and Fantasia have been doing enough to keep guys like Motlop out when he becomes fit. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
exactly. I mean, Motlop will walk straight in probably because we really do miss that quality small forward. So but then again, I mean, the opportunity is there for Durden, has been there for Durden and Fantasia to put performances on the board that hold their spots, but they haven't been able to do it so far. So, they'd sort of certainly be on the outer at the moment. But, look, I thought, I was worried about a little bit of our and always am with the way our forward line works. It just doesn't seem to work that well at times, and we don't seem to deliver the ball in there all that well. There's some great kicks inside 50 on the weekend, but yesterday, but there was a lot of that bombing the ball into Harry and Charlie again, and
especially in the first half. Especially in the first half, I thought that they changed it up a bit in the second half. They went for the sort of shorter option inside 50 at around about the 40 metres out mark, rather than bombing it from 60 down towards Charlie, and he was getting out positioned, and it was basically falling into Mac Andrews, into his lap, so to speak.
Yeah, I think there was a kick. I can't remember who it was in the second quarter into Harry Mackay in the second quarter, and the ball got kicked him into a space, and he had to run and take it. And I thought that is such a smarter kick. You're kicking the ball into a space, into where Harry can run onto it. I think he missed the goal, but it just was a perfect kick into our forward line. And I don't know why we don't do that more often. You've got the big blokes there, instead of putting it on top of their head, put it out 15 metres in front of them so they can run and take a mark, because both of them are terrific overhead. I mean, look, Charlie was getting beaten early. He was getting beaten badly. And that young fellow, Mac Andrew, isn't it?
Mac Andrew.
He's a good player, isn't he?
His closing speed was unbelievable, and his long reach was able to get a spoil in. And Charlie looked a bit lost there. He didn't know how to handle him. And I really think he should have gone deep and muscled him. You know, he would have been a bit too strong for him. I think Charlie probably played into his hands a little bit by allowing a lighter player to be able to. I mean, he wouldn't have been all that good in the strength department, but his run and jump and able to, and his agility was able to negate Charlie pretty well. So Charlie didn't play him very smart, but he was one. I reckon if we had Charlie down there 1-on-1 in the goal square, just with Mac Andrew, he would have been too big and strong for him. And but anyway, we got the result. Charlie kicked 4 goals, 4.
How often does he come good in that third quarter, Charlie? Hey, you can be quiet in the first half and then comes out in that third quarter and really turns it on, doesn't he?
He does, and that's a good thing. That's what good players can do. I mean, he could have had his head down and at half time and just thought, gee, it's going to be one of those nights and it's just not going to work for me. But, anything can happen. You just got to keep trying, keep persisting, and something good can come of it also. Kudos to him for, persisting and he's a quality footballer. I mean, he's going to be very hard for anyone to keep him out of the action for, but there were a few occasions though where he wasn't on Mac Andrew, which surprised me.
Well, you know why? Because the Mac Andrew had to go into the ruck and relieve ruck for Wits.
Well, he did
and that's when all of a sudden Charlie could get off the leash a little bit.
Yeah, and he shifted. Yeah, they seemed to shift around on that back line a little bit as well. So not having a second ruck really did hurt them, but
really hurt them. Yeah,
it was in the second quarter we had Kennedy in the ruck for us for Crepper was rucking. We had, which made a bit of a farce of it and a bit of a lack of respect for ruckman in some ways, but it worked for us and Pitto, the Pitnet, the conversation once again comes up with TDK and him and do your play.
He plays so much better, TDK, when Pitnet's not playing.
Yeah. They probably need.
I think he thrives on the responsibility, TDK. Honestly, I mean, the first 4 rounds of the year when Pitnet wasn't in the team, TDK was relishing the responsibility, but it's almost like since they brought Pitto back. He's gone back into his shell a bit. I think that discussion is going to continue happening, and there'll always be a debate about whether we should be playing the two of them in the one team and whether we can afford that luxury or whether we just need to make a call and say no. We give one of them the full responsibility. I mean, I watched the footy show this morning, and Matthew Lloyd made a comment about it, saying I really think De Koning is the future, and if it was him, he'd give De Koning the role from now on. But
they're both
no one's right and wrong. It's all a matter of opinion, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one.
I was just about to say that. Everyone's. Hey, David, what did you think of Williams' role yesterday? He played sort of more forward.
Yeah.
I thought he did quite well.
Yeah, he kicked our first goal and was quite creative and dangerous down there too. So. The half back. I mean, we got him as that sort of backline type, and then they told us they're going to turn him into a midfielder. And it looks like at the moment, I mean, if he can get down there and kick goals, where as we're saying, Fantasia isn't kicking goals, Durden isn't kicking goals.
He was quiet yesterday.
Yeah. So I mean, we need small forwards down there and getting in the right spot and kicking goals. And Motlop's one of those players who does seem to be able to get in the right spot, but he hasn't been part of it so far. So, look, I think that'll give Williams a lot of confidence going forward. Not only just playing forward, because teams will quickly work him out. What his strengths and weaknesses are down there, and they'll work on that. So. it'll just give him overall confidence, whether he goes back or into the, a little bit of midfield or whatever. That could help him throughout the rest of this season, because he's a quality footballer. He come across as big raps. So and he's had a lot of bad luck with injuries and so forth. But I always said Williams and McGovern are going to be the real, and Jack Martin was the other one. Those three have got a bit of X factor, and they're going to be the real keys in us if we are going to win a flag this year. They're the three players I reckon have got that little bit of extra that we haven't seen yet. So hopefully we can get a bit. We got a lot out of both of the two boys yesterday, and we know what Jack Martin can do. So let's hope he's back in there, not too distant future as well.
Could it be, Rhys, that in Indigenous round, or Sir Doug Nicholls round that we call it, we've uncovered another Indigenous player in our forward line that could play small forward. So when Martin comes back and Motlop comes back, we might have a trio there. Williams, Motlop and Martin, all three of them playing small forward role.
Yeah, I don't
Martin's
think
more of a sort of a high. Martin's more of a high half forward, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, he plays that role anyway, and he can take a grab too. So that's the difference with Martin. He plays a bit taller than what he is as well. So he's a little bit different. I like him. He's a hard nut too, Martin. He goes hard at it. And Motlop's got those silky skills and can get to where the ball drops and read it pretty well. So And then what happens with Owies and Durden? But then, that's when the pressure starts coming on players and performing. And we haven't had it yet because we haven't had our best team in. And look, I looked at that Gold Coast, the injury list with Gold Coast on the weekend. They had one bloke, Weller, who has done his knee, and he was the only one unavailable. I mean, actually, they beat Geelong by 10 goals and dropped 4 players.
How does that work?
Yeah.
I don't know what Hardwick was thinking there. But,
what's Sam Day? Why I couldn't believe that they dropped Sam Day, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought he played really, really well up in Darwin. And was it Sam Day? Is that what his name is?
Yeah, there were 4 of them who got dropped, and whether that see, they're the things you don't know. That could have been a discipline thing. Something could happen up in Darwin, or they could have mucked up during the week, or something's happened. But
maybe they had a bet with that Indian bookmaker.
Which one?
Reece,
the one. Maybe Dimmer got good odds.
Reece, can I just ask you first of all, just to sort of break this into what I think are the logical halves. So, the first half, at halftime, if you were doing a summary at halftime, what would you have said about the game at that point?
I would have said that Carlton dominated the play and just couldn't convert it onto the scoreboard, and that was a real key. I mean, you have a look at those stats you showed earlier on. I mean, 130 extra possessions. I mean, that's an extra
50% more.
That's
whatever
6 players.
We had 50% on top of that. So they had 270 odd possessions. We had 408 or 409 or something.
So that's 6 good players, 6 20 possession players, out there, and that's an enormous amount of difference in possession.
Was that happening because they were just allowing that to happen, or were they just happy to play?
No, they couldn't get the ball. We beat them for the ball. Yeah, no, we were beating them. Cripper and Walshy and George Hewitt and the guys in the middle were giving us first crack at it, and we used the ball pretty well. I mean, we switched it up a fair bit over the course of the day. That was good to see, actually. And shared it around when rather than bombing down the line. So,
but 4 goals 9 at half time. Surely that must have been awfully disappointing.
That was the one key, getting it inside 50 and converting, and that was where we really did struggle up to half time, and a bit better after half time when they had to. Once they had to start scoring, because we'd sort of got a bit ahead of them, that opens things up then, and then their defensive style, they've got to start taking some risks, and that's when you can get hold of teams and take them apart a little bit and open them up and get it down to your big forwards and not have them crowding it.
Okay, so then let's summarise the second half. What changed what led to Carlton outscoring Gold Coast in that third quarter, 6-4, and then how did you sum up the last quarter where we just banged on another 6 goals, I think it was, or 5 goals at least, to I think they kicked the last 3 of the game.
Yeah, look, I think the game opened up and we were relentless. A bit unlike the week before, I think the Swans really took it up to us. And I think, and even listen to Vossi after the game, players got pride and they would have known that, they'd have a fair amount of pride in their ability in that midfield section. And the Swans pulled their pants down really and embarrassed them a little bit in an area of the ground that we think we're pretty strong at. And guys like Cripper and Walshy, you don't see them having 2 bad games in a row. You just don't see that happening. So they both bounced back, from poorer games and really were the catalyst to us, both of them. And they just drove us forward time and time again and were pretty ruthless in the way they played.
Yeah. Okay.
All those guys who dominated the week before, Rowell and Anderson and these guys, Tuke Miller, they didn't touch the ball. So they routed Geelong the week before and we got hold of them this week. So that's the way it works. You're a few percent off in this game these days, and you'll get beaten.
That's for sure.
Come on, Vince. Have you got any comments to make?
Well, look, I'll be frank with you. I thought
be Vince with us.
I thought this was the best game. I think this is the best coaching performance from Michael Voss since he got here. And I say that because for the first time ever, I saw moves being made. I saw players being experimented in different positions. I saw some risks being taken with where he played certain players. I mean, we talked about Zach Williams. Ends up being a masterstroke, but unless you try it, you're never going to know. So I thought it was an excellent performance from Michael Voss as our coach and his coaching team, because there were moves like Chincotta onto Tuke Miller. And by the way, I heard you mention that, maybe he goes on to Zach Butters next week. I reckon I'd be putting him, because he's got a bit of grunt about him, this guy Chincotta. I'd be trying him on Horn Francis, because Horn Francis has got an enormous, almost low centre of gravity. He's got such a strong body in his legs. He seems to be able to power through packs, and I reckon it might take someone with a bit of size about him to keep him in check. So I reckon I'd be tempted to play Chincotta on Horn Francis rather than Butters. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see where Voss plays him next week. But yeah, I thought there were all sorts of players tried in different positions. The fact that Charlie came up the ground when he wasn't winning up forward, I saw him all of a sudden back on the wing and getting kicks around there. So I thought it was excellent that he tried a few plays in different positions, especially the Williams move up forward was a good one. But yeah, I mean, we were wasteful with the amount of ball that we had in the first half. And I think you're right. We basically fell down in that last third where we were delivering the ball into the forward line. Second half, that got a lot better. We were doing a lot more hit up kicks into the forward 50 where we lowered our eyes and all of a sudden had a lot more system about us, and we changed the angles going into the forward 50 quite a lot as well. So, yeah, I think we should have won the game by a lot more, to be frank. The 29-point margin, I think, almost flattered Gold Coast considering how much of the ball we had. And I know that we got up to 47 points up at one stage. It's a bit of a pity that we gave away the last 3 goals, but that should have been a bit like last year, a 10-goal win, if you ask me. That's what it should have been based on how much more of the ball we had. But look, at the end of the day, bank the 4 points, take the win, move on, and there'll still be some things we can learn out of that performance for next week. But I'll tell you what, we're going to have to be right on our mettle next Thursday night with only a 5-day break in foreign territory, in hostile territory there in Adelaide.
Well, the other side, you talk about that, getting to 47 points or whatever it was, and percentage is going to be so important this year. I mean, there is a real squeeze there. I know we've got a pretty good run home, to be perfectly honest. We've got a very good run home, so that should help us get some percentage against some weaker teams who are going to struggle a bit towards the end of the season. It would have been nice to have a 40 to 50 point win instead of 30 points because just that extra little bit, it's going to make a huge difference. It could be the difference between 4th, 5th, 6th, or whatever.
Well, it could. We might find teams in the top 4 versus the bottom 4 of the 8, based purely on percentage. So it will be interesting.
Banking the 4 wins. You keep banking the 4 wins. That's all you have to do. Just keep banking them, and that's all you can do. And percentage, let it take care of itself. We get enough wins, we'll finish top 4.
Yeah.
Hey, David.
Are there any? Sorry, go for it, Joe.
I was just going to change the subject for a minute. I've just made David in charge of recruitment at Carlton. Okay, so you're in the recruiting department. On Wednesday we have the mid-season draft. Okay, we actually have 2 picks, and Lloyd's brother said we're going to use them. What sort of player do you think we should be looking at?
A tough, hard backman, a real tough, hard, strong backman. Doesn't have to be pretty or anything like that. Just has to be strong and tough and hard. And we need one of them back there. We just that's one thing I really see we lack, and all the good teams seem to have one of those blokes. Like we get a bit of class with Weeders and that back there, and he makes a lot, the right decisions all the time. McGovern and so forth, but we haven't got that tall, hard-nosed defender, a May type of bloke, or you go through all the good teams. They've all got one, and who take no prisoners, sort of thing. So a big, strong bloke, and if there's one out there playing VFL or whatever at the moment, geez, we could do with him.
Is there anyone else?
I'd be going for someone with a lot of speed, because I think one of the biggest deficiencies in our team is just a general lack of leg speed in our midfield.
I think you'll find when we get our best 22 in or close to it, that are going to be available. Obviously, Silvani and Doherty being our best 22. But if we get close to that, and you'll find that we'll look quicker because we'll use the ball better. We'll have players who've had a lot of experience and know, I mean, you look at Scott Pendlebury walking around the ground, and he hasn't got his leg speed's dropped, but he keeps the ball flowing at a pretty good pace. So, and
he looks a bit like you, Reece. He looks like he's got all day to get rid of it.
Well, I was slow, to be honest. So
no, but you did. You used to look like you had all day to get rid of it. You always did get rid of it before you got tackled.
Well, it's hard enough to bloody get it without turning it, giving it back to the opposition. So, people used to say that about me, but I just saw Jesus. It's bloody hard to get the ball without turning over or giving it back to the opposition. So look, and the other side is I'd have ice in the back of my head too, because I had blokes wanting to kill me. So you had to know what was around you, and a bit of awareness about you, because no niceties back in those days.
Fair enough. Hey, I've got to also give a bit of love to a couple of players that I thought played pretty well. I'd be interested in your comments on Brodie Kemp, for starters. I thought he played a really good game at halfback, and I really think that they made a mistake whenever it was 2 or 3 weeks ago when they dropped him and played Lewis Young instead. And I think they've surely got to have realised that by now, that he's the one that belongs in that team more than Lewis Young. Yeah,
look, there was a few blokes who, and that I'm glad you brought up Kemp, because we don't talk about him enough. Kennedy's another one who does his job and does what's ever required to put forward back wherever. There's some guys there. I'm glad we spoke about Cowan and the other blokes who've been and Ollie Hollins. I thought he started the game really, really well. He
was the other one I was going to mention. I thought that was his best game for a while.
Yeah, it has been, and he's been getting caught but the games I've been watching him, the amount of work he does is unbelievable. Him and Akers on the two wings.
Yeah,
they run all day. They just machines, a bit like Walshy in the middle sort of thing. They don't stop.
Yes.
They just don't stop. And fantastic contributors. And it was good to see Ollie, really sort of the move he made. One time down the wing where he got the ball back.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it?
Line, and I think it was Matty Owens he kicked it to. Was just a real good bit of play, and you could see the players were really happy for him too. I think they probably realised he's probably confidence had been a little bit shot, and for him to be able to do something like that was terrific.
Yeah, they all got around
absolutely.
him, which was good. All right, let's have some last comments on the game, boys. I'll start with you, David.
As in last comment on
the game.
I went into I went there and I was worried going to the footy yesterday. I was really worried about it was a crunch game for us. It was a game we had to win, and our form was pretty poor against the Swans, and those couple of players we got back really did us. And that's where you'll see when we do get some quality players back in, some genuine, blokes who are going to be in our best 22 and play finals and be part of it. You can carry a few blokes here and there, but and you can't rely on Cripps and Walsh and these blokes week in, week out. You need to take the pressure off them as well. And I walked away a very happy man last night. So I walked away from Marvel and looking forward to Port Adelaide over there. It's never an easy task, but it's a winnable game for us, and we're playing the sort of football which can beat anyone at the moment. So we just got to keep it up and hopefully get one or two back this week as well.
Vince, comments?
Yeah, look, just to sum up, I thought it was, as I said last week on the show, it's a must-win game. That's one of the reasons I picked this. I just thought, by hook or by crook, we just have to win this game. And we went out there, and I reckon from the very first bounce, I could just tell we were going to win. I don't know about you, but it just had that feeling about it straight away. Like, we've got this. We're in tune here. We're on. And I don't think, even though we were a bit wasteful in the first half, I wasn't that worried that all of a sudden we were going to drop this game. I just never got the impression that they were going to turn the game around, so to speak. We just dominated so much that it was only a matter of time before the damn wall broke. And eventually it did in that last quarter. At the start of the last quarter, we absolutely smashed them for the first 20 minutes. And I think that's when we pretty much put the cue in the rack, Rhys. And that's when they, thought, shit, we better get something out of this game. And they put 3 late goals on us and reduced the margin to 29. But it felt more like an 8 to 10 goal win than it did a 5-goal win.
Well, we should have.
Just on that point too. Just on that point. What about the bloody umpires? Jesus, we could not get a free kick early. I mean, I think we had 5 free kicks at 3/4 time.
No, you're wrong. It was 3.
No, 3 just before. I think we got a couple just. But anyway, 2 of them were out of bounds on the full. 2 of the free kicks we got were out of bounds on the full.
That's what I mean. There was 3 paid by the umpires.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the ones paid by the umpires. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That was it. 3 bloody for a whole 3/4. You're not telling me there were no indiscretions against any of our players.
You know what I reckon's happened? Someone's shown them that ladder that they came out with recently where we were on top in terms of frees for versus against. We had something like 37 more free kicks than frees paid against us up till round 9 or 10 or whatever it was. And I think at the bottom of the list was Richmond. I think they had something like 47
Richmond
or
always
something free kicks against.
Richmond are always. They are always. Even when they're winning flags, they were on the bottom of that list.
Really?
They play on the edge. They got a few blokes
fair
that
enough.
play on that edge.
I reckon they tried to even up the score a little bit yesterday, but look, it wasn't that bad in the end. I think we got 11.
Yeah, 6 in the last quarter.
I think we got 11. We got 11, and they got 16 by the end. So
how can you get 5 for 3 quarters and then 6 in 1 quarter? It's absolute. Like Harry and Charlie were getting dragged. You could see it, and the umpires were on. There's 4 of them.
Yep. And
anyway, Vince is going to have a whinge about that.
No, there should be more free kicks paid. I reckon there should be more free kicks. The problem is they're not paying free kicks. They're too scared. They're waiting for their mate to blow the whistle. One of them's got.
Who wants to make a decision?
Exactly, and then when a bloke does make a decision, like the Collingwood game the other day, the bloke does make a call on something.
He gets taken apart. Yeah.
Exactly. So why are they going to, put their head on the line?
They're all reluctant. It's a bit like the goal umpires. They ended up being reluctant to even make a decision on the most basic, point that was scored or something, for fear that they might have got it wrong. So,
well, I watched an 80s game last week, and I'll tell you, when the ball got into a situation, a tackling situation, the umpire blew his whistle very quickly. And that stops, because they're very good at tackling now. You watch, they'll pin an arm or whatever, they'll pin a ball.
Yeah.
And unless the player, the player basically now has just got to hold the ball to himself and not let it spill free. But the umpires used to blow the whistle so quick back then. You sort of thought, geez, that's quick. But it stops all that bloody crap, swinging blokes around and everyone, the crowd getting all excited and everything. Yep. Throw the ball up and get on with it, sort of thing. And
and the other thing about umpires not paying free kicks anywhere near as much now, or taking a long time to come to a decision, is that players are getting hurt. Players are getting tackled, and then they're all waiting for a decision.
Can't hear you, Vince.
Lost you, Vince.
Oh, sorry. I've just had a phone call come through and interrupt. As I was saying, people are sort of standing around waiting for a decision. So what happens if someone's being tackled and there's still no decision? They tackle them again, or bring them to ground, or all of a sudden people are getting hurt as a result. Look, I don't know. I don't know who's guiding the umpires or who at the AFL is responsible for all this, but they've got it so badly wrong this year. It's not funny. I'll have a bit more to say about that
later in the show.
Vincenzo's verdict later on in the show. But anyway,
all right. Reece, let's get to the votes, Vince.
Yeah, I was just going to say we should sum up the game with our votes.
Yeah, David? Look, I've gone for Sammy Walsh. I thought he was terrific and really the catalyst. Well held last week, and I put McGovern in for a couple. I thought he was really important on our back line. He was the guy who took those intercept marks, especially early in the game, and I thought that he deserved. Look, there were so many you could put in. That was the other thing. Yeah. And Blake Acres, I must admit, he's becoming a bit of a favourite of mine. I think because I seem to find a vote for him each week. TDK got in there. There was probably 5 or 6. Cripper's unlucky not to be in there. So it was, and there was a lot of good players on the day, but. You had to come up with 3. They were my 3.
Vince?
Yeah, look, I want to give apologies especially to the 2 ball winners in Cripps and Walsh because they both played excellent games, don't get me wrong. And, when you're getting 31, 32 possessions and still laying 4 tackles and 6 tackles respectively between Walsh and Cripps, you probably deserve to get in the votes. I just thought I'd go a little bit away from the traditional ball winners this week because it was a pretty free-flowing game and we had a lot of possession of the ball. So there was a lot of players that did get well into the 20s or very high teens at least in terms of possession. So I decided to go for the players that I thought had the biggest impact. And I thought Zach Williams, for his 4 goals and his roll up forward, had the most impact on the game. And to some extent, when you look at the final margin, it was pretty much the difference between the 2 sides. And I haven't been a big rap for this guy, to be honest, since he came to Carlton, but that was clearly the best game I've seen Zach Williams play for Carlton in terms of impact. He's probably had one or two good games in the back line, but I reckon this one, in terms of impact, is the best one he's played. Mitch McGovern, the same. Down back, and he had plenty of mates. I mean, Wiedering played a really good game. Kemp, as I mentioned earlier, played a really good game, and so did Cowan. So big apologies to all of those three, but I gave McGovern my 2, and I gave Akers 1 for his game on the wing for all the same reasons that Rhys said. And he's also becoming a favourite of mine.
Funny thing, we haven't mentioned Newman. He was terrific too. And
well,
so
you could have thrown in seriously.
Yeah, he could have picked up a vote.
There's probably at least a dozen players that you could have given votes to.
Yeah, which is good.
For various different reasons, yeah.
Which is good. I've given Walsh 3, Akers 2. I just think Akers has been such a great pickup for our club. He's so consistent, and even last year, when he had that bung shoulder and he kicked the goal and got us into the preliminary. And I thought that was one of Zach Williams' best games. He's probably played a little bit better for us, but I just thought yesterday was very consistent as opposed to in and out. He might be our new Jack Martin, because I think Jack Martin's contract is up this year. I don't know whether they'll re-sign him, and there's words about him going to back to Perth. So anyway,
and also
let's hope he's a premiership. Let's hope he's a premiership player and stays.
Yes. I also think that we should mention Chincotta too. I thought we played a great game on Tuke Miller, and also Elijah Hollins. I thought played a really good game against his old side.
Yeah. So here's the leaderboard. There's just been a little movement. Akers has gone to 4th and Wiedering's down to 5th. Sammy Walsh has consolidated his 3rd position. So we've got Patrick Cripps in front, Harry Mackay, or Mackay, whatever you want to say, depends who you are, 33, Sam Walsh on 30, Blake Akers on 22, and Jacob Wiedering on 20.
Just on Akers, Rhys, hang on, Joe, before you keep going. Just on Akers quickly, people talk about the fabulous 5 A-graders in the Carlton side being Cripps, Walsh, Mackay, Curnow and Wiedering. Do you think that there's a case to suggest that Blake Akers in the form that he's in is almost nudging that entry into that exclusive A-grade club? Would you call him an A-grade winger now, or is he just improving maybe his ball use or something like that?
Oh, no. Geez, he gets forward and kicks goals. He saves goals. He does everything. But I think if you're classifying wingmen, he'd be right up there with the best of them in the competition at the moment, and probably has been for the last year and a bit. So,
would you call him an A-grader though? I mean, you played wing. Would you call him an A-grade winger, or do you think he's just not quite at the A-grade level yet?
We talk about our A-graders, and they're the match winners, and this guy has won us matches. So you really got to consider him in that sort of echelon, and that's,
I reckon too.
Probably speaking. It really is. I'm a huge rap for him. He won our Spirit of Carlton award. We give it the best and fairest night. And he won that hands down last year as the guy who was just there when you needed him, and saved games, won games, won finals for us. Kicking. Even I'm thinking, go back and have a shot, and he just missed the post as he kicked it through as well. So, you got to put him right up there, and he's always. I love him. I reckon he's a terrific player. But to put him up with Walsh, Cripps, Curnow, you're going into a different category there. But he just does his job week in, week out, and
he's at least a B plus anyway. Let's
definitely A- there.
He's workmanlike, to quote all these commentators. Now, David, you mentioned something there, Spirit of Carlton Award. So this week, your Spirit of Carlton Award goes to
Tom DeConning, the big fella. very unlucky not to get in the votes. He's another one who could have snuck into the votes, but his job on Wits, who took him apart, and that would have been in the back of his mind coming into this game, and really got hold of it and got some clearances. Worked very hard, so he gets the award and well deserved it too. And as I said, could have fitted into the votes, but there were quite a few who could have. So no, gets a Spirit of Carlton this week.
That's right. Now, guys, next week, Port Adelaide versus Carlton. It's Thursday night, Adelaide Oval, 7:30 p.m. I just want to correct one of our viewers, Tony Amadeo. You say that Carlton have never beaten Port Adelaide in Adelaide. Incorrect. I was at that game that we won where we got into the 8 because of Essendon.
No,
we were 40.
hang on.
There's Port Adelaide's final game.
I was there too, and yes, it's if what he is saying is that we've never beaten Port Adelaide in Adelaide, he's totally wrong.
That's what I'm saying.
That we've never beaten Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval.
Wow. Well, no, he just said we've never. He said we've never beaten Port Adelaide in Adelaide. So
what he should have said is at the Adelaide Oval, and we haven't even.
He's saying Adelaide Oval.
Yeah,
he's saying Adelaide Oval. Tony, I'm an English teacher. You need to be very, very exact with your prepositions, mate. Got to be exact. Anyway.
All right. We haven't even beaten Adelaide Crows at the Adelaide Oval either. So
exactly.
We haven't beaten any of the South Australian teams. We just beat Fremantle there about a month and a half ago.
Well, there you go. All right.
And I went to the first game we played, Port Adelaide over there, and I was sitting there, and they absolutely smashed us. It was three-quarter time. I was sitting with a few of the committee blokes, and we're all in this one section. And I remember getting up at three-quarter time. They said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm getting out of here."
They're feral, aren't they?
Port Adelaide supporters, like Collingwood supporters. So I'm thinking, I'm getting out of here. They go, "You can't leave now." I said, "Hey, I can leave. You can't. You have to stick to the end. I don't have to."
Hey, Rhys, are you talking about the first game in Adelaide against Port Adelaide, or are you talking about the Adelaide Oval?
Yeah,
I was there with you. I was there with you. I remember it. And yes, it was a very unpleasant experience. I think we lost by over 100 points.
Yeah, I was there too.
I don't know. I was gone by three-quarter time. I wasn't hanging around.
You went to the pub across the road, didn't you?
I did. Went to the casino.
Well, you know what it was? It was actually 10 years ago, because the last game ever played at the previous ground, which used to be called Football Park, but then became Amy Stadium. The very last game ever played there for Premiership points was the game that you referred to, Joe, where we beat Port Adelaide by 1 point.
1 point.
And that game...
Well, 43 points down.
2013, that's the game that got us into the finals because Essendon got disqualified.
The Junkies.
And then the following week, we played Richmond in the first elimination.
And the same thing happened.
On Chris Judd's 30th birthday, and he kicked the winning goal, and bingo, we won the first final. So anyway... I won't talk about the week after that.
Which Essendon supporters and Richmond supporters. It doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No, that's right.
So, David, tell us what's going to happen. What's going to happen Thursday night?
Are we going to finally break out hoodoo against Adelaide?
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. We'll come out and I think we'll have a nice, comfortable win. I think a 4 or 5 goal win.
Comfortable win.
Wow. Yeah, I'm going to go for a
26 points
plus 32 points. David Glasgow, 32.
David Glasgow.
Yeah, number 32. I'll go for this week. And
do you want to know? Do you want to know something interesting about the numbers 26 and 32?
Tell us, Vince.
They're the two numbers either side of 0 on a roulette wheel.
Yeah.
And you know how I know that? You know how I know that? Because whenever I play roulette, I always use 26 and 32 because they were two of my favourite players, Rhys-Jones and Glasgow.
Well, there you go.
Well, there you go. Now,
there you go.
DC says...
So everyone out there, there's your useless information for the week. You know what is either side of the 0 on the roulette table, and never forget that.
That's right. And by the way,
the viewers are confident.
By the way, I also had 4, 21 and 2, which are 3 numbers in a row for Kernahan, Bradley and Williams. So anyway, or sorry, it might have been Motley back then.
Didn't you just give us
Vince?
a finished up one taste lotto last week or Powerball?
But did you win money, Vince?
I wish I was that bloke from Adelaide that was the only winner of the Powerball, 150 million. My God.
What would you do with that much money? You wouldn't know.
I could think of a few things I could do with it. But don't worry, Joe.
Yeah.
I doubt that it's ever going to happen.
I know. Look, Vince Foligno is very confident. 50 points.
50 points. Wow. Look, I also think that because I'll tell you one thing. Whenever you play a side like North Melbourne, I reckon it softens you up. And Port Adelaide had a comfortable win over North Melbourne down in Hobart yesterday. And I thought, we'll come out and show them how football should be played. They won't know how to handle it. So I'm also going to go for Carlton this week. Even though we're on foreign territory, I reckon that win over Fremantle is going to change our fortunes at that ground. So I'm going for Carlton in a very, very, very close game to win by 2 points.
Oh, 2 points.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Because of Peter Motley, and hello to Peter Motley if he's watching us.
Can we tip a draw?
No.
All right, I'm going to give you guys a chance to get back because I'm two in front. I'll go for Port Adelaide. I want Carlton to win, but I'm going to try and level the playing field for you.
He's either going to be 3 in front, maybe at the end of this week, or 1 in front. But he's obviously got a bit of a buffer there, so he's going for.
I'm riding hands and heels. You guys are using the whip.
You're not wrong. All right, so you're going for Port, and Rhys and I are going for Carlton. All right.
And here's the tipping ladder. So we all got Carlton on the weekend. So it's 8, 6, and 6.
He's got 8 tips out of 11, Rhys. We've got 6 out of 11 each. So we're going to have to make up some ground on it.
Hey, Carlton's won 7 games, so we've all stuffed up somewhere there.
Anyway, yes, exactly right.
That brings us to the end with David. But, David, thank you very much. Just give it one more plug, mate.
Yeah, look, if you can jump on and help the Prader-Willi Syndrome Association, jump on the socials. David Rhys-Jones 26 on Facebook, public page there, and I'll relive the 15 memories. I think we're up to the grand final today. So the Premiership in 87 today. So and there's a few more to come. So, have a look at that, and you can donate 15 for 15. If you just Google that, you'll get onto the page 15for15.com.au, and every bit helps. Plus, there is a raffle prize, a trip to Bali worth over 10 grand for up to 6 people going. So, get on board and help us out, and it's all going to a very good cause.
And don't forget, next week, Big Vincenz, 15 arancinis for 15 minutes. Is that right, Vince?
Well, I'm going to try.
Mini arancinis. We agreed mini.
Yes. Well, big ones. You never can do that. 15 arancini in 15 minutes. That's the task. So as many as I can eat in 15 minutes, up to 15. So hopefully I can get through that.
All right. Okay. David,
one per minute for 15 minutes, Joe. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Every minute I'm going to eat 1 arancini.
Jeez.
I'll tell you one thing. It'll probably
Rhys,
shut up for a while.
I was going to say, at least we'll get him to shut up for 15 minutes.
One good thing about it.
That'd be heaven. Hey?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Anyway, Rhys, on behalf of all the Carlton supporters out there and Vince and myself, thank you very much for making yourself available. We know you've got a family life. And anyway, all the best with the 15 for 15. Don't forget, people, please give. David gave you guys a lot of years of memories, good memories. So I think it's time now that we repay
he's giving us an hour of his time every Sunday night to give us his thoughts on the game. And no other social media show's got someone of the caliber of Rhys giving them his foresight, and insight into the game. So, mate, very much appreciated, and I think that's the least we can do is to support this very worthy cause.
Yeah, no worries, and as always, go the Mighty Blues.
Thanks, David. Thanks very much.
Gotcha.
See you, mate.
All the best, mate.
I'll say apologies to your wife, David, because I stuffed her around with in the beginning with the microphone. So please pass on my apologies.
No, you're all right, mate. All good.
All right.
So
See you,
those
mate.
three for us, right?
Vince, we are very lucky to have that gentleman, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Absolutely.
He is. Hey, Vince, there was also some other games on the weekend. Let's go.
All righty. Well, we start off with last Thursday night, where, of course, the big game happened between the Western Bulldogs and the Sydney Swans at Marvel Stadium. And very good kicking prevailed in the end, 16-6, 102 to Sydney, defeating a gallant Western Bulldogs 12-16, 88 by 14 points. Then we moved to
on Friday night.
Yes, we had a very exciting draw between Fremantle and Collingwood. Fremantle 11 goals, 9. Better kicking for goal than Collingwood, 10-15, 75 Collingwood. And what an exciting game it was. I did watch the entire game, and it was great to see Collingwood get robbed.
It was, wasn't it? Well, actually, it's under the letter of the law, it's a free kick. If they don't know the rules, that's their problem.
Yeah, I'll get onto that later.
It's in the rules. That was the 5th time that free kick has been paid this year, so they can't complain.
I will talk about my verdict shortly.
Go.
Okay. Then, Saturday, we saw Port Adelaide go down to Hobart and take apart North Melbourne, like most sides do. 16 goals, 11, 107 to North Melbourne, 7-6, 48 by 59 points. Almost pretty much a 10-goal win. Then, of course, we saw a very exciting game played in the twilight at GMHBA Stadium between Geelong and the GWS Giants, who have a pretty good record over there. And the Giants lasted to hold on to a 4-point win in the end, 11-12, 78 to Geelong, 11-8, 74. And that's the 4th loss in succession to Geelong after winning their first 7 games of the season.
Now, your second team, Vince?
A few problems. Last night, the dream time at the G game. I've got to tell you, it's a pretty spectacular performance that they put on before the game, especially when you're there live. But Essendon prevailed in the end, only just. They didn't do anything that would have impressed me too much. I don't think we've got anything to fear when we play them in about 2 weeks' time. 12-14, 86 to Richmond, 10-14, 74. A gallant Richmond, but not good enough to win.
And then today,
well, the one that I was worried about last week when I gave you my bet, my multi bet, but this was the one I was worried about, and in the end, that's what happened. Hawthorn, after last week's heartbreaking loss where they really should have won the game, decided that they're definitely going to win this time. 15-10, 100 to the Brisbane Lions, 10-15, 75. Same amount of scoring shots, but far better kicking for goal by the Hawks. Sees them winning by 25 points. And, of course, the last 2 games today, Melbourne, way too good for St Kilda, 14-16, 100 to 9-8, 62. 38-point victory there to the Demons after a couple of losses in a row. And Adelaide, bringing the Eagles crushing back to earth, won by 99 points, 21-11, 137 to the West Coast Eagles, only 5-8, 38.
Did you watch any of that game, Vince?
Not at all. None of it.
I watched about 10 minutes. Can I tell you, that Harley Reid, it was basically, at one stage, it was what's his name? Harley Reid versus Adelaide. He was trying to do it. He was doing it on his own. It was like he had no support. And this kid's played 11 games, 10 games?
I think that was his 10th game.
Bloody amazing. Anyway, let's go to the ladder, Vince.
So we see there the ladder. For those of you who don't speak Aboriginal, I'll tell you what the real team's name is. First of all, on top of the ladder, we've got Sydney on 10 wins, only the 1 loss, can you believe, to Richmond. 40 points, leading by a game and a half to Essendon on 34. A further half a game back to Port Adelaide on 32. Then another game clear of 3 teams, I should say. On 7 wins and 4 losses. but there are actually 4 teams on 28 points because Collingwood, who've only got 6 wins, have actually got 2 draws as well as that. So anyway, 4 teams on 28, Melbourne, GWS, Geelong, and Collingwood, and of course Carlton as well. So that's 5 teams on 28, all separated only on percentage. Then outside the 8, half a game away is Fremantle on 26, Gold Coast on 24, Western Bulldogs on 20, Adelaide on 18, Brisbane on 18, and I'll tell you what, I reckon from Adelaide and Brisbane down, you could just about rule a line through them. Hawthorn, I reckon Hawthorn's got a better chance of making the 8 than what Brisbane and Adelaide have at the moment, only because they're in really good form. But they've come up to 4 wins now and 16 points. And then the bottom 4, you've got St Kilda, who are having a terrible season. I reckon that's season over after today's loss to Melbourne. And then you got West Coast also on 3 wins, Richmond on 1 win, and North Melbourne, disaster zone. 0 wins after 11 matches and only a percentage of 55.
Okay, well, Vince, you know what it's time for? Vince's verdict.
Well, I'm
Stop.
sorry to have to talk about this topic because I know it's one of the hardest games in the world to officiate in. But seriously, I think the AFL's got to do something about the quality of umpiring because it is now getting beyond the joke to the point where games are being won and lost based on umpiring decisions. Crucial decisions are being made at crucial times at crucial parts of the ground, such as the goal square. We saw on Thursday night a really exciting game between the Bulldogs and Sydney, where an absolutely ridiculous free kick was paid against the Bulldogs player. I'm trying to remember his name, number 23. He's got that Dutch name. I'm trying to remember his name now. I'll get it in a second. But
Go on. I'll tell you the
Van
name.
something or other. Yeah.
Keep going.
Number 23. Vandermeer, sorry?
Vandermeer.
Vandermeer, I thought. Latham Vandermeer. Now, seriously, the 50-metre penalty that got paid against him was an absolute joke, paid by an umpire who clearly does not have a feel for the game. And that 50-metre penalty put the game beyond doubt. And it was a pity because up until then it was a really good contest. And I just thought, that's it. It's game over. Put on your glasses. It's all over based on an umpiring decision. A poor one. And then you've got the Fremantle-Collingwood game on the Friday night where, again, a Collingwood player gets up from the pack, purely just hands the ball over to his teammate, who then...
You're not allowed to do it, Vince.
Listen to me. Just listen.
No.
Just listen.
No, because...
Hang on. If we're going to have games decided like that by an umpire who just doesn't have a feel for the game, it would have cost maybe half a second, maybe 1 second. The whole basis of that decision... No, let me finish. The basis of that decision is time wasting. Now, how much time really got wasted? Can I ask you a question? And I'll ask the same question of everyone who's watching. If that decision was not paid, how many people would be up in arms that the umpire didn't pay a time-wasting decision?
That's not the point, Vince.
No,
that's not the point.
What a good umpire would do. No, again, you're not letting me finish.
No.
What a good umpire would do is a good umpire would say to the guy, listen, that's actually a free kick against you next time. Hand the ball to me or I'm going to pay it against you. Now,
okay. Hang on. I want to stop you there.
Why? Because really there was no time wasted in that.
Vince.
It's not a case of wasting time at all.
Okay.
That was purely an umpire wanting to make himself the bloody star of the show in the end. And at that time, I think the margin was something like 19 points, and it brought it back to 13. It gave Fremantle a sniff, and in the end, they were good enough to at least get a draw out of it. And I said earlier, it was great to see Collingwood get on the bad end of an umpiring decision. I was just talking like a typically biased Carlton supporter, but in all seriousness, that's criminal. That was a shocking decision. And, these guys work their backsides off to get goals, and yet umpires are going to hand a goal over to a team based on something as trivial as that. The AFL came out and said, yep, we're ticking that one off. Yes, that was the correct decision by the letter of the law. But seriously, if that is the actual law, it should be changed, because seriously, that is just not in the spirit of the game. That is
okay. Now you've rambled on. You've rambled on for 5 minutes. Do you know the background as to why they paid it?
Why?
Because the AFL umpiring team have been at Collingwood for the last 5 weeks about this time-wasting tactic. And they got told during the week, enough is enough, we will pay the free kick. And they continue to do it. You watch them. They do everything in the letter of the law to try and waste time so that they can man up. And they got caught out.
How much time did they waste, Joe? How much time did they waste?
It doesn't matter, Vince. Vince, if I kill someone by let me finish. If I kill someone by accident, do you think the judge is going to go, oh, sorry, mate, it was an accident, it doesn't count? The law is the law. Okay.
You cannot seriously use that as an example
to
make your point. Oh, come on.
They need to pay it all the time. Apparently today they didn't pay it. So therefore they're wrong again today.
Well then hang on. I was just going to say, if you're going to pay it, you should be paying it all the time, not just once.
Exactly. And I agree. You pay it all the time. Vince, they can only umpire to what they've been taught, right? And if that umpire has been taught that, well, you can shake your head. They've got to get more consistent. That's the problem with them. They're not professionals.
Let me ask you this. How would you like the grand final to be decided by a decision like that?
Well, they should know better, because the free kick's been paid. Well, hang on, Vince.
Comfortable with that?
Now you're interrupting me, right?
Okay, I'm asking.
Let me finish. But you're not letting me answer.
With a grand final being decided by a decision like that?
Yes, bad luck. You know the rules. It's happened 5 times, probably 6.
Come on.
Well, Vince, if you know the rules.
What about the 50-metre penalty against Vandermeer? Do you think that was the right decision?
No, that wasn't the right decision. No. But this is my point. You're not listening to me. They are not consistent. Why? They are not professionals. They train one night a week. The AFL makes hundreds of millions of dollars, and the one area of the game that 2 areas of the game they can improve tomorrow, right? By spending a little bit of that money instead of giving it to Gillan McLaughlin and what's the new bloke's name? Another Xavier idiot.
Gillan.
Yeah. Invest in goal line technology or get rid of it.
Yeah.
Either have proper goal line technology or don't use it, right?
Yeah.
And 2, invest in professional umpires that are going to be consistent, or put up with this. How much would it cost them to have professional umpires? Maybe Gillan, instead of getting his $2 million bonus, got $1.5 million bonus. So until we are prepared to invest in the game, and don't tell me they don't make enough money, because they make enough money, right? And they don't invest it in juniors, because have a look how many junior umpires there are. That law is the law. You either do it to the letter of the law or you don't. That's the problem. This is the problem. This is why we get upset. I mean, have a look at some of these holding the ball. Well, it's actually incorrect disposal. People say, oh, the umpires are not paying holding the ball. There's no such rule as holding the ball, right? The rule is incorrect disposal or failure to get rid of the ball. And you have a look at some of these players. They dive on it, drag it in underneath, and the umpire comes in and says, oh, I'll ball it up. And then 2 minutes later, the other bloke says, no, you didn't make an attempt. I saw against Carlton that the umpire was standing right in front of the play, right? And it was, I think, which King plays for Gold Coast? Is it Ben?
Yeah, Ben King.
Okay. Ben King, he got his arms chopped, right? He did. Yeah. And the umpire that was 2 metres away calls play on, and the umpire 60 metres away says, oh, no, you chopped the arms. How can the bloke 2 metres away not see it? And he's looking right at the contest.
Well,
Right,
one
how?
of the other things, one of the other things I was going to say in today's rant is that I don't believe the 4 umpire system is working at all.
Me either.
And in fact, I heard a very good suggestion on radio. I think it was today or was it yesterday? I can't remember. But someone rang up as an open line caller and made a suggestion that I thought was an excellent one.
Which is?
If they're worried about umpires spending too much time running around and not being able to make decisions because they're fatigued and exhausted and all that sort of thing, why not have a system where there's only the 3 umpires on the ground, but one of them gets interchanged every so many minutes? Now that'll keep the 4th umpire off the ground and resting while the other 3 are working, and then one of those 3 comes off, and then the 4th umpire comes on, and they rotate it so that they're all.
They can even interchange during the quarter,
like an interchange for umpires, right?
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
I don't.
But you're still going to get inconsistencies.
Yes, I understand that, but clearly 2 umpires is not enough anymore because they don't see enough, right?
Well, it's too quick.
If they've got half of a ground each, it's all too much, apparently. God, remember back in the 60s when there was only 1 umpire on the entire ground?
Yeah, but it wasn't as quick then.
Okay, I accept that. So all I'm saying is go back to 3, not 2, but only have 1 in the forward 50, 1 in the other 50, and the other one
and 1 in the middle.
Around the middle.
Plenty.
And that's
exactly.
It. And one of them off the ground can come on and they can interchange if they need a rest. So what's wrong with that?
Nothing.
The 4 umpire system to me is not working because, one, as Rhys said, half the time they're looking at each other in terms of who are you going to pay that, or am I going to pay it? I mean, what happens when they both blow the whistle at the same time and want to pay a different decision to each other?
Yeah,
Have we seen a situation yet where one umpire is saying holding the ball and the other one saying ball up? Because that wouldn't surprise me if that was to happen.
No, but we have. It happens all the time. I don't think it's got anything to do with fatigue. I think it's got to do with inconsistency in interpretation, right?
But I think it's also a territorial problem. You've got a smaller territory and you've got 2 umpires thinking that they've got the right to make a decision in the same patch. And I think that the 3 umpire system worked a lot better because you got clearly defined areas within the 50 on one side, within the 50 on the other side, and then the one in the middle covers all of the centre and the wings. Now, they should rotate that as well so that one of them has the centre maybe in the first quarter and the last quarter. Maybe the senior umpire has the middle in the first quarter and the last quarter. And the other 2 umpires, if they're more junior umpires, they can have a shot in the second quarter and third quarter. But you've got the most experienced one in both the first and last quarters doing the middle of the ground. That's how I would do it. But
I would too.
I'm not sure if anyone else has got a view on this. I'd be more than happy to read any of your comments and opinions on this. I just think that it's not working. And if this continues, I'm telling you, you know what I hope? I'll tell you right now, Joe, I hope it happens. I hope the AFL gets total egg on their face in the grand final this year and that we have a result determined by a pathetic umpiring decision that should never be allowed to be paid.
I don't think that'd happen because
just like the one we saw in the Fremantle-Collingwood game the other day.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned,
I don't think it'll happen, Vince. They usually put the whistle away in the grand final. In fact, they probably don't.
Why should it be different?
Who knows? You got to speak to them.
Why is it good enough to pay that decision in a home and away game, and yet in a final, no, we put the whistle away?
Who knows? Anyway,
no.
I agree with you. Let's go to your Omen bets, Vince. Again, another loss.
Oh, thanks, Brisbane. I'll never back you again away from home. The Hawthorn-Brisbane game was the one I nominated last week. I was very concerned about. We got over the line with Port Adelaide beating North, Carlton beating Gold Coast, Essendon beating Richmond, Melbourne beating Kilda, and Adelaide beating West Coast. But it was that Hawthorn-Brisbane game. I'll tell you, I wish I had gone for. Imagine we would have got really good odds on Hawthorn too. Would have improved the odds. Anyway, that was the only one that stuffed our bet up, Joe. So what have we got left in the bank?
Before we go to the bank, let's go to this week's bets.
My calculations.
We go to this week's bets.
Righto.
Hang on. I've done a bit of thing here, but you can see the capital letters. You've gone for Carl, I don't know. It's not on my original, so
Okay.
I don't know.
What we're doing here is we're only going to go for a 4-leg multi because when I did this, they didn't actually have the markets out on the Adelaide game or the St Kilda game. So what you'll find next week is that actually there's quite a few teams having a bye, as in 4 of them. I think you'll find that the top and bottom teams on the ladder, Sydney and North Melbourne, are both having a bye, and GWS and Brisbane are both having a bye. So I've decided to make it a 4-leg multi this time. Let's hope we can get over the line. I'm backing Carlton, the outsiders, at $2.12 to beat Port Adelaide. I'm backing the Western Bulldogs, Joe.
Yeah, I know.
I think that they are a really good chance to knock over Collingwood, who have got a lot of injuries.
So do I.
I know they're good at covering their injuries, but this game is at Marvel Stadium, and I think the Doggies play their best football there. I was very impressed with how they played against Sydney, to be honest. Really, they almost deserved to win that game. It was just for poor kicking for goal that's what cost them. Geelong to beat Richmond. I think Geelong will have to come back and win at home against Richmond next week after 4 losses. You'd imagine if they'd dropped that game. But anyway, they're only $1.05. I thought I'd throw it in. And the other one I'm going for is Gold Coast to get back and knock over the second team on the ladder, Essendon, at home. They're actually the favourites at $1.73, and I agree with that. I think they play their best football at home, and so I'm backing them at $1.73. So if you multiply all those up, you actually get odds of something like $9.37, I think it was. Anyway,
Something like that.
If you bet $5, I think it was $105 left in the kitty. So I thought,
no, there's more than that, Vince.
Is there?
We've got 115 in the kitty.
No, you're wrong because I said $20 last week, not 10.
Oh, okay. You're right. I still had the $10 bet.
There you go. I knew I'd find your mistake again this week.
No,
there should be a balance of 105. So after this bet, we'll have $100 left if we lose it. But if we win it, we'll win back about $48, something like that. So, let's hope that 4-leg multi can get over the line. And if anyone's following my bet so far, we're pretty much break even at the moment based on what we started with.
Yeah, so that means we've got $105 in the bank. I've just adjusted it on the other side.
We've just bet 5. So
so if we lose, we'll be at 100.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of the show, Vince. So before we go, there's just a couple of little things we need to do.
Yeah.
This week on the Jumper Punch on Monday night at 6 p.m, you've got the boys on Double, predominantly basketball, but they talk about football. I guess in the basketball, they're coming up to the finals. So I'm sure they've got a lot to talk about.
That's the NBA, isn't it?
NBA, yeah. On Tuesday night, live, of course, you've got the boys on the Jumper Punch. Wednesday at 6 p.m, we've got Rockin' the Burbs. Keep watching that. I think it's quite funny. Wednesday at 7:30, you've got the boys on Forever Rivals, which is live. Rockin' the Burbs is pre-taped. Thursday night, we've got our mate Rash and Sam doing The Lounge Room, which is very, very informative. Then on Sunday night...
Is it called The Lounge Room? Is it called The Lounge Room, is it?
No, the Change Room.
You said The Lounge Room.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry. Sitting in the lounge room. And then on Sunday, you've got the Jewel and the Crown, which is Blue Sunday. Reminds me of when Sandy Roberts said, that Lorraine Cock instead of Dick. Anyway.
Oh, dear me. Yes, that was one of the funniest ones of all time. But, we're all...
before we go, Vince.
Freudian slip here and there.
Before we go, don't forget, the boys have got the Jumper Punch, the live event, June 15. So get your tickets. Go to www.trybooking.com. I've put the link is in the summary below. So don't forget, get in there. $20 if you want to sit like theatre style. $50 per person if you want to have 55, a table. 55, sorry. 55, can't remember. And also, yes, you got the last few days of the 15 for 15 challenge. Don't forget, https // 15 for 15.com.au. What about Jared?
Can I make a suggestion to you, Joe?
Yeah.
When you're promoting this, all you have to say is go to 15for15.com.au, because the actual cursor will do the rest.
Well, sometimes some people put the www first, and sometimes it doesn't work. Anyway, Vince.
All right.
Also, before we go, don't forget we are exclusive on the Jumper Punch channel, so you need to like, share, and subscribe. Smash that button. On Facebook at Blue Sunday, and you can also see them at the Jumper Punch. And we are proudly brought to you by the YouTube channel, The Jumper Punch. So, Vince, that brings us to the end of the show.
It does.
From me, it's a good night, and from you?
It's also a very good night, Carlton supporters, and we'll see you next Sunday night on Blue Sunday.
And go those mighty Blues.
Go Blues.
We are the Navy Blues. We are the old dark Navy Blues. We're the team that never lets you down. We're the only team old Carlton knows. With all the champions they like to send up, we'll keep our end up, and they will know that they've been playing against the famous foe